Hello again. I'm back at the park. One of my favorite spots. Even though it's got a good breeze going, but lately it's been tremendously warm. My apologies for being absent last week. So I have a caveat. Days I'm going to miss. Self-care days as well as weather prohibiting and any kind of thing my kids might need. Those are the only days I'll miss. But I'll try when I do miss to do 2 videos the next time I see you. No try, I will. When I tell myself I'm gonna try to do something, I don't know about nobody else, but for me, I tend to give myself an out when I say try instead of saying I'm going to do it, because I'm not one of those people that likes to break promises at all if I can manage it. And to me, when I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. That's a promise to me, like a pinky swear. I'm still one of those people who do that. I still believe in pinky swear. Sacred. Anyway, whenever I'm talking to one of my students, I almost always every week get some kind of message that I want to share with someone else or share on video. And today, I'd like to share the concept, and I've talked about this before, but I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into it. The concept and idea that came to many of us over the past 4 years, since 2020, something like that. The idea that certain individuals are chosen to be in a certain path spiritually at this time. I don't think it's very complex. I think it's more subtle than that. It's not necessarily chosen, it's just available. Okay? And it's one of those things that keeps me humble, but helps me help others to be humble, if that makes sense. And hopefully I can give you a little bit more clarity. If you found that you spiritually awakened in the last 5 years, even though you might have been already spiritual and knowledgeable about a lot of areas and facets of our reality, if you find that you've awakened a bit more to that idea, those ideas and concepts over the last 5 years, some people call that chosen. Like a ding, light bulb went off up here on the crown. And I don't disagree with that concept. I just think that over time I got a little bit dissuaded from being even a little bit engrossed into the communities that have experienced some of these things, because I've had some positive and some not so positive experiences. I've had challenges and all those things, but we all do, don't we? Anyway, I think because it's the ego-driven vibration of that concept that kind of pushed me away. So I'm just like, well, if we're chosen to do a task, that means we must ultimately be responsible for that gift. And some people call it a curse. I have called it a curse, but we are ultimately responsible for that. And that means if I give you, for example, something very simple to use as a metaphor, if I give you $10 and tell you to go to the store, like my grandma used to do when I was little, you get $10 until you go to the store, get specific items. But then you get to the store and you're like, oh, I see some things that I want. And then you go get that and then give her maybe one of the things that she said, and you come back. She ain't going to trust you with money no more. It's just that simple, right? So that's how I conceive of it. And as always, you won't have to believe how I believe. You don't have to think how I think. I'm just giving you something to ponder, consider as you move through this reality and this beautiful thing, as Prince said, called life. One of the masters, even if I do say so myself. So the discussion ended on, and this what made me want to talk about it today. As we were discussing this, I was like, you know what? If we do ego-based driven things, if let's say, for instance, all of that is real, that some of us were chosen to help humanity evolve, not necessarily help bring humanity to a gate of heaven or anything, or hell or anything like that, but just to help them evolve consciously. If that is the case, then how did that happen? How are we chosen? And then furthermore, does that make you special? And that concept is what I want to talk about for a bit. Now, you know I'm going to jump all over the place, and I might hop a subject or two and go on some side streets and caveats. So please bear with me. I've come to the place of understanding that if that is to be true, then what makes you special is not the energy, the consciousness, the power, whatever you felt like you received, is what you do with it. I am of the subjective opinion that if some of us were chosen for that, that means that we are service of humanity. And I've said that several times. We're a service of humanity. In other words, if your part of your job is to make sure that you keep yourself in a specific alignment, study hard, work within the dynamics that you are given, so that you may in some way teach others, even if it's one other person, some things they may not understand, perceive of readily, or are able to digest in a way before they met you. If you have that, then that means that you belong to everybody. Now I know everybody, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I would understand it from a perspective of, if you have something so special and everybody didn't get it, then that means that ain't just for you. You're just a vessel for it. You must at some point consider and perceive yourself to be available to all, not just the people you like, not just the people you agree with. Now, I will say this: I understand things from a perspective that, yeah, in order to evolve, sometimes even when you're rearing children or teaching children, you must sometimes chastise with the tongue. Like, hey, what you're doing ain't cool. How about not? Here's why it ain't cool, though. Because one of the things I can tell you, when I was growing up, I did not enjoy being an Aquarius, is somebody telling me what to do, but not why I should do it. Because if they told me what to do, it could be perfectly sound reasoning as to why they're telling me not to do a thing. But two things must be there for me to agree to being told what to do and actually do it. That's one thing. The first thing is, it must make sense. You got to tell me why I can't do that, or I must do something. And you also must adhere to that principle yourself. So you tell me look both ways before crossing the street. Yes, that's sound judgment. But if I see you just walking across the street without looking both ways, I'd be like, so why should I? Now, it's sound reasoning. That person clearly knows why they're telling me, if I'm a kid in this scenario, telling me to look both ways before crossing the street because it's dangerous, obviously. But if I don't know no better, I ain't never crossed the street by myself, and you tell me to look both ways before I cross the street, and then I see you not looking both ways, or you don't tell me why I need to look both ways before crossing the street, then I'm not likely to do it. That held true when I was working in clinical practice. Sirs and ma'ams, if you're going to tell me not to do something or tell me something must be done, and I see you literally not do that thing in front of my face, I'm going to go ahead and leave that whole deal alone and not. It's like, telling me what to do, you must be a good leader. Somebody tells me what to do, I don't mind following if that's a good leader. Because, honey, sometimes leading ain't all the business. It's difficult and challenging. Of course, there's rewarding moments because you work your butt off to lead. But you must also know how to follow and work with. And that I have in spades. But the reason why I put it to you that way, in order to lead, you must follow, know how to follow, but also go along with. I think it is crucially important for us to understand that even if you don't feel like you're one of these people that consider themselves chosen here or there, but you choose yourself. I'm also a firm believer that we chose ourselves. We chose a certain path from a long time ago. We chose to not just go with the crowd, and we don't know why. We chose to walk off the beaten path. We chose to do our own things 9 times out of 10. And what everybody else was doing looked fun and normal, but we just couldn't. Well, maybe I'm speaking for myself. I just couldn't do what everybody else was doing. I had to figure out some other way, especially if something got uncomfortable. I wanted to know why it was uncomfortable. Why am I doing that? Is it because everybody else is doing it that way? Then why is everybody else doing it that way? Let me see if I can find a different way. Now, 9 times out of 10 so far, a lot of times I fall flat on my face, and I got to readjust and reconfigure my whole existence sometimes when I do that. But I always learn something. And that education propels me forward to another level of understanding where I fall on my face a couple times. I have to get out every now and again. I'm gonna shift to get out the sun because I've been burnt several times. I think this summer is really shadow boxing with me, and everybody else for real. Anyway, so I think that education of falling on my face, it didn't give me the space to grow too big of an ego. Now, granted, I will tell you, I've had several ego deaths. And when I say ego deaths, I don't mean the ego should be killed off completely. And this could apply to anybody. I think ego death is like, okay, there's some aspect of you that is egoic, but shadowy in a not healed space. And so what you're doing is no different than debriding the skin or exfoliating. You're exfoliating the aspect of that part of you that is not helpful to yourself or others, if you want it to be helpful to others, right? So that's, for me, that's simply put ego death. But there were times where I received, when I say received, I mean consciously received something, and I don't know why or where or whence it came. I perceive that to be the energy of God, the energy of light all around us. The two are inseparable to me. Again, it don't have to be to you. I could just be having some weird dreams and get up and like, oh, from them dreams I come to conclude and assess this. And this is what I'm going to operate out of at this time. It could be anything. Once I got so much all at once, because my whole life I've been receiving in that way, but I got a whole bunch, 2019, 2020, so much. And a little bit before that, around 2018, something like that. And I was like, well, I must be special. I fell into the ego trap too. I must be special. Well, everybody's special. Even identical twins are special. They're special and unique in the way that they came here to this world. And they share something with someone else that is so non-ordinary. So, like, well, if you use that from a perspective of it's mine to use at my will to do whatever I want to, no different than going to the stove with the $10 and getting some of what you want and only a little bit of what they want, and they send you to the stove for the $10. I had a time where it's like anger, resentment, abandonment issues, all kinds of things, all kinds of wounds were just spewing out of me. And I was like, well, there's some things that, yeah, definitely still had the heart. So I prided myself for that. I'll tell you this. I don't piss on my older self, my younger self. Because she walked me here. She busted her butt to walk me here. So I love sis. You should too. Love that background. That background got you to the foreground, did it? I have a few clients that have had issues with addictions, and when we talk about where they are now, I make it clear, oh no, that person that was in active addiction is the same person that you are now. Like, what a high concept. No, that person walked you right to this door. That person walked you right to healing. That person walked you to a therapist. That person walked you to me so I can guide you to go where you need to go to get the help you need. So don't ever look back and say, oh, I'm so better than where I used to be. You might be in a better position in life. You might be gainfully employed as you wasn't, maybe not then. There are third dimensional things that may have improved in your life, but you, yourself, your spirit, your soul is no better than that. You've decided to, it's no different than you going outside on a day like this without the trees in the shade and getting super sweaty, and then going in the house and taking a bath, all good wash off or a shower. It's still you, okay? You just cleaned it up a bit. But the dirty you is the one that cleans you up. You see how that works? Because when I came in the house, if I was sweaty and I'm dirty, I'm sweaty and I'm dirty while I was cleaning myself. The dirty me cleaned me. So never ever begrudge yourself for being not where you are now. That person had to be strong. See, the same things the same traps they fell into. I told you I'd be going on caveats. The same traps they fell into is not ones that you will fall into today. No. It's easier for you now. Why? Because they did the hard work. So you don't have to fall for it no more. You feel me? Yeah. It's how I operate in just socializing. It's like the things I used to fall for, the things I used to trip over, the things I used to have me in a ball, rolled up in a ball, just screaming for just take me. Even a couple years ago. Now just like, okay, that's upsetting. Like I have the thought, that's upsetting. Well, it's not that I don't care. It's not jadedness. I question myself about this often. It's more of I survived it before. And I was okay. I've survived it enough times now that it never stops being uncomfortable when things don't go exactly as planned. But eventually you get to a space, you could get to a space where you accept and allow and realize maybe, just maybe, it happening again was to test and show you how far you've come, not because the universe or God or anybody else is beating up on you. So, to get back to my final point, my first point, I want to think about that education and the lessons and the do-overs and all those things I realize. Yeah, special. What do I do with it? See, I have personally witnessed those who consider themselves in that number decide, pick and choose who's worthy and who isn't worthy of love and guidance and acceptance. And I'm not begrudging them their choice. For some reason, I was told a whole different, like I received a whole different way. It's like as angry as I can get, or I have gotten, about different things that go on in our just current reality. And use my energy and my words in such a way to dissuade it or to chastise it, which is something that I try to steer clear of as much as I can at this time, unless it's something that's absolutely necessary. We chastise with our words. We don't chastise with our actions or energy unless it's absolutely necessary, and that's something I learned hard way several times. It's like you got a job. Like the way I explained it to my student was like, if you have a job or you're applying for a job and everybody's qualified equally, they all put in the work to get that qualification. There's only 50 spots, but like 100 of y'all applied for that job. And then they fill the 50 spots. That means 50 people didn't get it for some reason or another. Personality, energy, vibration, they didn't get along with the interviewers or whatever. When you get that job, if you decide to be a clown or decide to just do the things you want to do or just work for the supervisors you want to work for, eventually you're going to lose that job, or eventually you're going to be ineffective in your performance. And that's how I view this. And that's how you can view pretty much anything you're chosen to do or that you're privileged to do in this life. I consider it a privilege. It's one of the reasons why I'm not excusing the behavior at all. That's one of the reasons I've gotten incredibly infuriated, angry, when I see people who clearly have the juice. They got the sauce, right? You can tell. They got the sauce, but they use it to be biased. They use it to be self-serving. They use it to manipulate and all these things. But here's the thing. Old me, love sis, will get angry, infuriated, rage out even. New me right now that didn't take a shower and a wash off, sees it from perspective that the shadows define the light defines the shadow. So I can sit here and waste energy judging someone else, which is a waste of energy really, because unless you could do something about it, or unless you're a judge, jury, or executioner, there is literally nothing to be gained from judging. Not really. Now what you can do is use that as an opportunity to educate others without having to piss on whoever's doing what you think is maybe unsavory or unfavorable. It took me a long time. I hate to admit it. Sometimes it takes me a long time to learn a lesson hard. And sometimes I learn a lesson hard a few times before I actually get it. I'm in the midst of a lesson now because Mercury be Mercurying. And whew, child, I have one placement that is at 29 degrees of Leo. And some people don't understand what that means, and it's okay if you don't understand what that means. Not everybody's into astrology. I am. I made no secret about it. But that one placement that is 29 degrees Leo, any other placement in my birth, any other placement in the natal. Yes, this is a side street. Just let me have this. Any other placement in the natal, that'd be like advantageous, wonderful, great, amazing, even wealth, fame, all these things. For me, it's like, oh, every lesson you learn is going to be the hard lesson, but it's going to boss you up in some way, but it's going to hurt so bad. They call this an anarchy. Anarchy? I don't know. It's one of those things. But I want to get this word right, y'all. Anarchic degree? I don't know. I've never pronounced it properly. But basically, simply put, it's a degree in Leo at a specific point that makes things incredibly challenging your entire life. Unless you stay in a bubble. If you ever try to venture out or change or learn a lesson or gain knowledge, you will never get that the easy way. It's always going to be the difficult, hard way. Not even always by my own choice. I used to feel like sorry for myself sometimes about it. And now just like, I'm going to embrace it. Because every single time I have to face that energy. And you can apply this where you like to. Every single time I have to face something difficult and challenging because of that energy, on the other side, no matter how much it hurts, I'm stronger for it. I know that's a cliche. God ain't gonna put you through nothing that you can't handle. Well, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I can't handle it. Sometimes I feel like I can't, but I can tell you what, thus far, and they continue. I've risen to the occasion, or I rise like a phoenix after I've been knocked down every single time, and I'm just like, I don't know how I'm doing it. Yay, sis. Like, she better than me. Like, back there, she better than me. She's been better than me since birth. She got me here. She's like my parent. But it's one of the big, but that particular energy and placement is one of the reasons why I can stay humble. Because, honey, if I was unchecked, I know me. Unchecked with the amount of knowledge and ability and skill and know-how, all those things, and aptitude, unchecked, I don't want to see me unchecked. I don't want to see me not having to be humbled every now and again. Because if I wasn't humbled every now and again by hardship or something else, or a hit to my ego, this world would be in a hell of would be in a mess. So I see it as a blessing. Even those challenges as a blessing. This is how I operate out of joy too. And that's when I came with, like, I think it was last year, something like that. I had come to the conclusion fully, but I had been over time receiving this particular word or knowledge. Just like those job applicants I was just talking about. Just because everybody's got the aptitude and availability doesn't mean they're special or finely tuned enough to be in the job. And if your job is to service the public and you decide, I don't want to serve these specific people because they don't believe the way I believe it, they don't think the way I think, or they don't look like me, or they don't look like the people I like, then you ain't going to have that job forever. Or if you have it a long time, you are limiting your scope and ability and range to meet, receive, and give out love, knowledge, and acceptance. The way I simply put it is, you ain't special, you was just available. Everybody with the aptitude got it. You know? The aptitude was all that was searched for, in my subjective opinion. And it was searched for very heavily for a very long time. What you deal with is what makes you special. What you do with it is what makes you special. And that holds true for pretty much anything that you feel special about. What you do with it is what makes you special. How you operate is what makes you special. There's nothing wrong with being selfish. As long as that selfishness is not intrinsically harmful to others. Right? There's nothing wrong with being to yourself or for yourself. But if you know you got something specific and special, it ain't up to you to keep it to yourself. It ain't up to you to just go buy and do whatever you want to do. Again, this is all subjective. Just putting some on your mind piece. No different than if you're in a lovely park like this and it's filled with children. Say, for instance, you're 5 adults out of multitudes of children. And one of those children get hurt, but it's not your child. You don't know this kid from Adam. And there's no other adults around. You're just going to leave that child wounded? No, you're going to try to help because the kids around the child does not know what to do. Typically, especially if they're small enough. And you're an adult and you see this. It is, to me, a moral imperative to go and help that kid no matter what they look like, no matter what they believe, no matter how they behave. And then that moral imperative leads you to a space of understanding the Christ consciousness of love. Because it does not discriminate. And that includes people you don't like, or people that misbehave, or people that are not in alignment with your own vibration. It includes everybody. You love all, right? And I have operated out of that. But my actions and my words didn't always speak that truth. And I had to get in alignment with what my heart and my soul felt. Like, I love all. I only like some. And I had to be honest with myself about that. I don't like everybody. Like, I'm not going to treat you with ill will, but I don't like everybody like that. I really don't. And it's not because I am just choosing to be contrary. No. It's because there are some people I enjoy sitting down and have a good conversation with, and then there's some people that just rub me raw in the way that they vibrate or conversate. So I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I'm enjoying myself when I'm not. But that is different from saying what I'll do for you is the same thing I'll do for the one that I do enjoy being around. What I'll teach one or vibrate for one, I'll vibrate for all. Because you can take it or leave it. What has been given is not mine. It's only mine in that I hold it. No different than when you're issued in the military. And I know this is an extreme example, but I think it fits. When you are issued your weapons and your gear, your tactical gear, military or police force, that ain't yours. That's for you to serve the public. You ain't supposed to be gathering riches and all these things and selling it to the highest bidder or walking on the street like a badass when you're not even on shift. So it's meant to serve. And that's what I think makes a person special or not, is if you've been using it to serve. Or if you've been using it to self-serve. If you use it to self-serve, okay. But sometimes I think it'd be wise to think about it from this perspective. If you use it to self-serve, grandma ain't gonna send you to the store no more to go get her cigarettes. This is back in the day. I just aged myself. Back in the day, I used to send you to the store, get some soda and cigarettes and get yourself a little bit of candy. I just aged myself, but I don't care. But they ain't gonna send you to the store no more because you don't know how to be responsible with that money. And the shit, I gotta sit down I've been humbled several times. It doesn't change who I am and what I've received, right? But it's almost like, all right, you're on punishment. You don't know how to act. I can admit, there are times where I've gotten so damn angry, and I still have to watch my tongue. I'm working on the cussing. Still. When I was a kid, there was a Bible school song. It's like, he's still working on me. How lovely and patient he must be. Because I know I receive. I know I have the knowledge. I know I have the skill. And I know I have the aptitude. But I had to have the humbleness. And sometimes, at least lately, working on my cussing has humbled me. Because sometimes I got to find words that still convey the same effect as when I, swear. MF, look, I ain't never seen nobody or met nobody in my lifetime that can do it better if one wanted to cuss one out. But again, in this vibration, that doesn't mean I don't never cuss. I cuss them out via text a month ago. And I still got sat down and went into my meditation. Like, why did you say all that? Why did you do that? Why did you allow that person to bring you out of your spirit into your shadow? Did they really even do something that bad? They did something that was irritating to my vibration, but was it bad enough to bring me back to a place where I just didn't have control of my tongue? And that ain't even on them. It's on me. Just keep that in mind. Can't nobody make you do nothing. You got to allow them to influence you to do something. And then you got to realize when you allow them to influence you to do something, that you ain't got control over you. Somebody else has got the joystick, honey. A lot of this is about that. A lot of what I speak about is you having control of the joystick and deciding what kind of joy you're going to have. And this here simulation, as some people call it. You have to decide. Even in tough moments, decide there's joy in it. Because the sun will rise in the morning, as it always does. And you also didn't die, did you? This retrograde is showing people a lot of facets and aspects of their ego that they can choose to exfoliate. Not kill completely, but exfoliate it. Smooth it out. Get it to center. Somewhere that is balanced. That's the opportunity being given. Personally, I wish they'd just leave me hell alone, but it is what it is. There's some things I need to work on, I suppose. Anyway, I see you again in 5.